We got quite a project going on today. Christy's in one tiller tractor and I'm in another tiller tractor, and Dave has just went off to fetch a third tractor. So we're going to be tilling and seeding a pretty big property here at the church for a soccer field. Let's get started. Now when I say a large property, not large, but I don't know how big it is actually. We may be talking about 3-4 acres. I don't know, may even be just 2 acres. Again, it's hard for me to estimate, but it's a big property for us with the approach we're using. Christy's on Old Salty, and she's got 5-foot tiller there, and I'm on the Rebel here, the Yanmar, with the 6-foot tiller. It's the biggest tiller I got. It's not much struggle, I will tell you that, for the Yanmar to run. But we actually started this project several weeks ago. Well, it was started before we even got involved. This was alfalfa. It's been alfalfa for many years. It's been put up for hay. The church has really not had a strong need for it, so they've just kind of kept it in alfalfa hay. But several weeks ago, one of the farmers in the church sprayed it to kill the alfalfa. And then we came along and mowed. And some of that alfalfa seemed to still be growing. And we mowed it with Benny and the flail mower. The main reason we wanted to use that mower was to try to not just cut off the alfalfa and whatever else we saw here, but to just shred it and make it so it didn't exist at all. And that's worked very well. Today we're left with, it's hard because it's not been tilled in many, many years. But there's not a lot of sod, so to take alfalfa to essentially no sod at all in just a few weeks is really working well. I'm running this Yanmar now on cruise control, and I've got it set at 2 miles an hour. That's a little faster than I usually till, but I'm getting itchy to get this done. And Christy's running just barely 1.0 miles an hour. That's all the Old Salty wants to handle that 5-foot tiller. It just doesn't want any more tiller than that in these conditions. I actually think that tiller's tilling a little bit better, a little bit deeper than what this one is. I probably should raise the skid plates on this. But we're going to till it again, and so I suspect when we make the second pass, it'll be deep enough at that point. I want to talk a little bit about some things I've picked up here on the Yanmar, this not just today, but several other times that I've ran it. I've got about 67 hours on it right now, and a project like this, I find that I use the cruise control in it a lot. I really like the way the cruise control works. It is very precise, very consistent, and it works really well. There is also this A/B mode on the transmission. Never really described it to you before. There's several other videos on YouTube that you can reference and get a little bit more detail on it. And I'll kind of try to describe to you a little bit about how it works, and then tell you so far, my usage. So there's 3 ranges in the transmission, just like there is in a hydrostatic transmission. But the A/B mode is within a given range, so that's in the low range and the medium range. So there is an A/B mode in an A/B switch in the transmission. You can configure the max throttle speed and the max ground speed for either A or B. So the purpose for this is just to provide you some flexibility so that the full extension of your pedal will go to that max speed, that max RPM, and that max ground speed within that range. Now, of course, there's mechanical limitations to that. B range, for instance, goes up to 6.2 miles an hour total. You can only go 6.2 miles per hour at full RPM. If I crank the RPM down to say 1800 or something, then it won't let me go 6.2. I hope you understand what I'm trying to illustrate here. The point of these selections, A and B range, allows you to, when you're tilling or any sort of action like this, I need to run full throttle, or at least 540 RPM. when I'm going through the field. Perhaps when I turn, I want to go faster, but I don't need to have the engine screaming, so I'll lower the RPM. You could simply press the A-B switch while your foot's all the way down on the pedal, and you could achieve that goal. Another opportunity for that is operating a loader. Perhaps you want a lot of fine-tuned pedal control when you're pushing into a pile, so you would set the max speed to be much lower. And then when you're taking your load to the pile to the destination, you might want to go a little bit faster. So you set the max travel speed a lot faster in that scenario. It's a nifty feature. So here's my thoughts. I thought I would use it a lot. I thought that would be my primary usage on this machine. Turns out I haven't used it nearly as much as I thought I would. I find that the cruise control works so nicely and is so integrated into the system that I don't really need that A/B functionality. So I'll get to the end here and I'll pick up my tiller. And the first thing is when I press the brake, it does a great job. The second thing is if I press the accelerator a little bit, it goes faster. So it doesn't lose its cruise control setting if I press the accelerator at the end to go a little bit faster around the turn. And at the same time, the way the brake pedals work, the individual brake pedals work so well, I don't have to worry about lacking power on that turn. I find that on the Deere hydrostatic tractors, if I use one brake to turn, it really pulls the engine down a lot. I don't experience that at all with this tractor, which I find refreshing. But since the cruise control stays operating even when I increase the speed around the turn, I can press that one brake pedal, turn my wheel, press the accelerator all at the same time, zip around that turn a little bit faster, and then all I have to do is let off the accelerator and the cruise resumes right where it was. So I find that to be the best way to handle speeding up to go around the ends. Now, if I were going real fast on my passes and I was needing to slow down to go around the ends, then I might need to use the A/B mode to make that switch.
Dave spread 12 bags of fertilizer. He went over it twice, crossways to each other, so that it doesn't look like a watermelon next spring. As soon as we got done tilling, I hooked onto the harrow, which we'll use here for some final leveling and a bit of compaction. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Meanwhile, Dave and Christy are working to hook up the seeder. I think they've got it set up now, so let's check in with them.
Is it taking a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Just make sure we don't run out. But 22 bags, you said?
22 bags. But me and Tim were talking on the phone and doing the math. I think it'll work.
I can see grass seed.
This is a tall turf type fescue, which Advanced Turf Solutions recommended that we use for this particular application. Oh, maybe I didn't mention. This is intended to be soccer fields, just like the ones you see in front of the tractor there. They recommended that we plant this at 350 pounds per acre. And as Christy mentioned, they sold the church 22 50-pound bags. I guess I have my answer now on how big the property is. Sounds like it's about 3 acres. 350 pounds per acre sounds like a huge amount, but actually on the bag, I think it says 425 pounds. I have both the front disc and front roller options for this seeder, and I find that the front roller works great. It does a good job of leveling and helping to compact just a little bit more. We've had this wood CSS 48 seeder now since they were introduced. This same seeder is offered by Deere in the Frontier green color, and I have mixed opinions about it. More on that in a minute. Meanwhile, let's take another look at the Yanmar and Harrow. You can see how the tiller fluffs up the soil, and just one trip over with the harrow really knocks it down a lot. I would say this is the biggest disadvantage of using a tiller for turf grass preparation. While I love how finely ground the soil is and just ready for seed, it looks wonderful, the fluffy seed bed makes it so that it shows every tire track, and it's hard to get that back to just being perfectly level again. The best way we've found to do that is with the Ventrac and the power rake. However, on such a big property, that takes quite some time. The Harrow is our second best option, and it goes really fast. As you can see here, I can drive just as fast as I can sit in the seat. This Harrow, of course, comes from AmericanHarrow.com, and you could use code TTWT for a discount. I love the 3-point hitch frame that allows me to pick it up at the end, or if I want, I can leave it down. I can pull it 3 different ways for different levels of, I'll call it, aggression. I won't go into more detail on that here, but I have shown that in other episodes. But you can see here that the Harrow is doing a good job of getting rid of those tire tracks, or at least kind of smoothing everything out, but it's not quite perfect. Obviously, I'm introducing new tire tracks at this angle, and even though it's kind of covering the old ones, they're still more compacted than the areas that haven't been driven on yet. I only know 2 ways to deal with this. One is to keep harrowing at different angles. Each pass seems to make it more and more smooth. Wow, looks pretty cool from this angle. Those different angles allow the dirt to be pulled in just a slightly different direction and just makes it more and more level each time. The other approach to aid in compaction is the seeder itself. With 3 rows of rollers, it does a pretty good job of compaction. The rear cultipacker is spring-loaded, so it puts some additional down pressure on those cultipacker wheels. Now, I mentioned that I have mixed feelings on this seeder. We have had a good bit of challenge getting a good stand of seed when we plant with this seeder. Now, it's possible that we're dealing with weather conditions, or perhaps some of our other prep techniques are not perfect, and maybe I'm being unfair to the seeder itself, but I'm beginning to think that maybe we're not getting quite enough down pressure on that seed, enough seed-to-soil contact to get good germination. Most seeders are very heavy. This one was lightened up dramatically so that it could be picked up with a 1025R. For example, the cultipacker wheels are made out of plastic or some sort of poly, rather than the standard heavier cast iron. An additional disadvantage from a weight standpoint is the small hopper. And that's not only a disadvantage from weight, that's a disadvantage from operation as well. We have to stop and fill up basically every round.
Bigger hoppers.
You what?
Bigger hoppers.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many bags are you in?
6.
I tried putting some weights in the rear hopper that we don't use to make it heavier, but they just scratched up the hopper and it really didn't work very well. Perhaps I should build myself a weight bracket for the backside. I'm running the harrow at a different angle now, and about half of this will be across areas that Dave has already seeded, and the other half, well, it hasn't been seeded yet. So there'll be a little bit of experiment going on here. We'll watch closely and see which one gets a better stand, and we'll see which one is smoother in the end. I'm able to drive faster on this second trip as it's much, much smoother than the first trip. And I'm realizing that the harrow does a better job as I drive faster. I'm using that feature of the transmission where you can adjust the foot pedal's max speed and max RPM. I'm running it in the fastest range, basically C range or range number 3, which is road gear. And then I set the max speed to 8 miles per hour and the max RPM way down, like a 1500 RPM, so I'm really not using very much fuel. This gives me really smooth pedal control, even though I'm in what we would call road gear. As I get faster and faster, those little trenches that you see behind the harrow get less defined. I'm probably running only 6 miles per hour or so here. I don't want to throw Christy off the tractor. Yeah, that's right. She's riding on the outside. Just don't tell the safety Sallies, and we'll all be fine. Now here you can see we've crossed over into the area where Dave is already seated.
This is worse than hanging on outside. Sure she weren't going as faster. This is like a NASCAR pit stop.
I found that I could fill Dave up and then do a round harrowing and get back in time to be able to fill him up again. Yeah, that's right. We had to fill up every round here. Christy was a trooper. She would go to the truck and get a bag of seed and throw it on Johnny X and deliver it to us. What a beautiful day and an enjoyable day for us. Well, at least for most of the day until it got later and later. We started packing at 9 a.m., loading and packing. We got to the job site about 10:45, and as you can tell, it's getting pretty close to dark here, which would be about 7 o'clock. No, we're not done. Not even close. We didn't get home till well after 10 p.m. I wish you'd have got this, Christy. I pulled this stump out by hand.
By hand?
Dave saw it. He'll verify.
Looks rotten.
Rotten? This just shows how strong I am. Rah! Hey, I think this looks really good. We've still got some seed left, so we're going to run back and forth and put some more seed out, but I think we've got it smooth enough. Hopefully no one will break an ankle on it next year. Hopefully they'll be able to play on it next year because it'll have enough turf. You guys had a little bit of a disadvantage today because Christy had to drive a tractor.
Yep.
But that was fun for me, and I don't know about for her.
I enjoyed it.
It's almost dark here. We're going to keep going a little bit longer, but thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. But the seed on good soil stands for those with a noble and good heart who hear the word, retain it, and by persevering produce a crop. No one lights a lamp and hides it in a clay jar or puts it under a bed. Instead, they put it on a stand so that those who come in can see the light. Two in one day.